And so today's coaching clinic is all about knowing the difference between scaring yourself and wisdom speaking to you. Sometimes our wisdom does ask us or invite us not to do something, to avoid something, to delay on something. And I know for me, it's been a learning, where am I simply just scaring myself to death versus where is wisdom really inviting me to decline an invitation or, turn back on an agreement or not sign on the dotted line. One of the biggest wake-up calls I ever got from wisdom was the morning that I was due to sign on the dotted line to invest in a very big way in my business that was going to take me to a 7-figure level. I woke up and this resounding no came forward. And this was after weeks of spinning. Should I, shouldn't I, will I, won't I, should I, shouldn't I? And all of that spinning just fell away in an instant as I heard this. And of course, it was a courageous act because it went against what everybody was expecting me to do. And my colleagues were very surprised. My coaches couldn't really understand it. But I'm so glad now when I look back, because when I see people who invested in that particular possibility, it turns out it was a no-go. So wisdom was telling me at that time to say no. And, this is what I want to share with you straight off the bat. It's like wisdom's never late. We can be trying to make a decision about something. And I'm using the word divine mind and wisdom together as one. It's the same for me. But divine mind isn't in a rush. Divine mind, your wisdom is never late. We're the ones that get into this hurry about needing to know the answer, needing to make the right decision. And then we sort of run around with a gun to our head. And all the while, our beautiful wisdom is trying to alert us with gentle, soft direction. And we can't necessarily hear it in that state. So our guided visualization today is to support you in just coming into a quieter state where you have access to your yeses, your nos, your maybes, your hold back and wait, or your push forward and go. You'll just feel your answers. And don't pressurize yourself, don't force an answer, see what comes. Depending on the state of mind you're living in, you may or may not have enough mental bandwidth right now to hear a direct answer for yourself. So be patient. It could be like me with that scenario with my business, that you just wake up in the morning or at the last minute when you're supposed to know, you wake up and you just know the correct direction for yourself. Okay, so let's close our eyes. Make sure your lines are muted for me. And we shall commence our, I'll just put a timer here because sometimes that helps. Here we go. We'll commence our visualization. So I think I can spotlight my video. Okay, yeah. Okay, so just quieting down as best we can. Take a few breaths in through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth, settling into this moment. Let's use the count of 4, a very powerful number, a number that reflects stability and possibility. Let's use the number 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Let your out breath always be slightly longer as we go along. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Allowing yourself to come into this space. Letting yourself be here now. Just feel your feet planted on the floor. See roots coming from your feet down through the ground, down into the underground, right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Feeling so grounded and supported now. This is the rock of light, holds golden light, the light of our true nature. See that light emanating from the rock, coming up through the underground, through the ground, through the floorboards, and just see it spiraling, beautiful spiral all the way up through the body to the top of the head in your own time. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Letting yourself be here now. And see in front of you now, in your mind's eye, just a beautiful pathway. Each week we step onto this path. So let's do that now. Beautiful pathway. And as you step onto it, I want you to set an intention. You might ask for clarity on something you need to know. You might ask or set intention for a quieter mind so you can have clarity to know. You might ask something more specific or set intention for something more specific. What should I do about ... Walk with this intention and question. Walk along the path. It's beautifully laid out for you. This path is transformative. Notice it. Notice the color. Notice where it's leading to. Look ahead of you. And notice what's around you. Often as we're walking in our everyday life, we can walk out with a problem and back with a solution. Be sure that your walking isn't just in your meditation, but that you let yourself walk the path of clarity. And so just witness yourself walking now within this meditation. Holding intention to know. And up ahead of you visualize a beautiful set of hills. Just see these hills forming now in front of you. Notice how the hills peak and fall. Notice the sunlight beaming upon them. Notice their magnitude and their magnificence, their sheer size. But most of all, absorb their stillness. Unlike trees, the hills are not moved by wind. Nothing can move them. Absorb the stillness and the magnitude of these hills. And bring your question into the vortex of those hills. Ask for guidance. Is there something I should not do? What would you have me do about ... Receive the guidance. Feel your feet firmly planted as you're watching the hills. And if you want, open your arms out, receiving, being receptive to their magnificence. Open your arms wide out and receive their stillness. Now there's a circle of light just circling your whole body, enveloping you. The light of your spiritual nature. This is the same energy that runs through these hills, that keeps these hills in one place. The same energy is running through you now, keeping you grounded, keeping you still. Your job is to let it. Now turning back onto the path. Feel the presence of these hills following you. They're behind you. They're supportive of you. They're an act of divine magnificence. And as you walk along the path, feel the sun on your back. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 2, 3, 4. breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Walking along the path. Just step down off the path into this moment, into your body once more. Feel the weight of your lower half in the chair or on the bed. Feel yourself completely connected. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. And let's just feel and see those roots coming down through the underground, right down to the rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Feeling the support of the hills energy, strong, still, peaceful, got your back. And feeling the support of the roots, grounded, present, clear, and here. And just gently come back to this moment, to the room, moving your fingers ever so gently, your feet ever so gently, opening your eyes ever so gently. And if there's something for you to write down, do that now. This is a space that we can really trust. This is a space that, using our breathing to slow our mind down, can help us to access direction and answers. I would like this to become your norm, that wisdom and direction and clarity doesn't elude you and isn't something you can only get if you are, spending your days in a meditative state, but rather something that you have a constant connection with, a companionship with, something you make space for in your day. And not only do you end up hearing Divine Mind's idea for you, but you feel better. Anything you're trying to create in the world, the pressure just falls away, and you're present to being able to show up and produce. Now, one of the ways we know when we're scaring ourselves versus hearing our wisdom is when we're scaring ourselves, you might notice that you are living in feelings of urgency, pressure, feelings of fastness, feelings of tension, feelings of never not having enough time. All of those sort of feelings, and it'll be depending on you, what's personal to you. How do you know when you're scaring yourself, right? There's some habit that kicks in that lets you know you're back scaring yourself rather than hearing the guidance of your wisdom or divine mind. As you start to get familiar with those feelings as alarm bells or friends, letting you know that you're scaring yourself, you stop making silly choices. It stops looking like a good idea to go at 180 miles an hour with your foot on the gas. You know, I shared that this week or last week in my email that humans are the only species to speed up when they get scared or lost. If you look at animals in the wild, they stop still and regain their bearings before sensing the direction and then before heading off in the new direction. Well, we have learned to speed up when we get scared. So one of the ways that we can notice when we're scaring ourselves is how fast we're living. We have been taught to keep going when we don't know what to do, because any action's better than no action. All the while we're producing and creating without any sort of enthusiasm. But in the moment of divine mind leading you, wisdom leading you versus scary thoughts leading you, you're actually filled with inspiration to produce and create. It's like time and space opens up and your mental bandwidth is much wider. So your capacity to help others grows. Your capacity to know what to do next is clearer. Your capacity to produce is just natural. And you find yourself in flow. So there's a very distinct difference between operating from divine mind and operating from a gun to your head. Get familiar with how you scare, not with how you scare yourself, get familiar with your symptoms of scaring yourself versus wisdom. Because as you get familiar with those symptoms, as you get to know, oh, there I go again. Oh, I know what's happening. You'll take your foot off the gas. You'll stop running in the wrong direction. And you'll find that you're able to produce and create and get stuff done actually in a much more graceful, quicker way. You know, sometimes people will say to me, well, I haven't been doing this for months, Grace. I haven't done it for months. And then something shifts and clears. They remove the gun from their heads. And within a matter of hours, what they thought was going to take weeks and months to complete gets done. That's the power of falling back into divine mind versus living in scary thought. Divine mind will bring you something fresh and new. It will awaken the energy and vitality that's already within you. Scary thinking will bring you recycled options and ideas. I can do this or I can do that. I should stay or I should leave. I've got this option A or option B with no space for something fresh and new, just recycled. I can't think of a more important relationship to have than that with divine mind, because that's the relationship that will move you forward in the right direction. What good is speed if you're going in the wrong direction anyway? So what are you hearing from this point? Is there a question? Is there a comment? Do you have something you want to illustrate with, in your own journey, knowing the difference? Was there a time that you can think of when wisdom had you say no and you're so relieved now that you did? Because it is there. Divine mind and wisdom is there to help you. It's our spiritual support. It clears up every mess we've ever got ourselves into. But even better than that, if we're tuned in and we're paying attention, it creates a life of flow rather than having to find ourselves in the mess and then clear it up. So there isn't a more important relationship. I'll give a couple of moments to, if there's a comment or question, just come on or write. Or sit with what I've said.
Hi, Grace.
Hello, good to see you.
Hi. A question. So, for sort of bigger decisions, I can kind of sort of settle down and quite often tune in. But when you're starting to do new things or try different things out, and you get those feelings of, it's a kind of uncomfortable feeling, isn't it? A sort of discomfort from, and it could be from just the unfamiliarity of it. Perhaps if you're going to do a presentation and you haven't done one for a while, or you're posting or you're doing a video and those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And then I find it really quite difficult to distinguish between, am I feeling this just because it's new and it's unfamiliar, or am I feeling this because actually I'm going in the wrong direction here? I'm doing what I think I should really than what I'm called to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's such a personal relationship. So for you, what does discomfort tend to represent?
I think it's a very kind of it's a very embodied sort of experience. So it's sort of uncomfortable sensations. I can get I suppose you feel a kind of unease, a slight agitation, but equally actually, and this is where it gets really tricky, I think, when you get really excited about something, mm-hmm. that can also, to a large degree, have very similar sensations. Mm-hmm. That sort of, is it fear or is it nervousness and excitement?
Mm-hmm. So something really helpful to keep in mind, Lou, is that our feeling state is seductive.
Yes.
And it is rarely giving us information about right or wrong. It's reflective of our state of mind. It's reflective of our thought world. Mm. So to bring that into an easier way of sharing with you, I would I would get curious about doing things with or without discomfort, rather than trying to figure out, is the discomfort telling me something about what I'm about to do? Because often our feelings, you'll see how they change. Like you said, 1 minute is discomfort, the next minute is excitement, the next minute it's something else. When we live in a habit of worry as well, worrying about taking action, worrying about how it looks to the world, worrying about whether or not it's the right thing, we're adding that layer of noise that just gets in the way. So that's why I was saying to you, what for you, what does discomfort represent? Because I know for me, like, discomfort can sometimes be so seductive I don't go through with something, and other times it represents me scaring myself, and I go ahead anyway.
Yeah, you're right though, it is so seductive. And we've kind of I suppose for a long time you're kind of taught to be seduced by it, and to listen to it, and to, or just push through it or whatever. So I guess I'm still trying to untangle that a bit.
Well, what I picked up on as you shared it was, you mentioned there was sometimes discomfort and you wondered if it was because you thought you should do something. That could be helpful information. But feelings are seductive because it's like a 3D form. It's so 3D, it's so fully there. But our feelings don't mean what we think they mean. Like, I used to get this feeling of anxiety, and I literally thought, oh my God, that means my business is going to collapse. I linked the feeling of anxiety to business. There was no relationship at all between my feelings of anxiety and my business collapsing, because A, that didn't happen, and B, I started to see, oh, this feeling of anxiousness doesn't mean anything about my business. It's just letting me know that, my state of mind's kind of all over the place right now. So explore for you, what is that feeling of discomfort for you?
Yeah, what have I linked that to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you end up stepping back, Lou. It's like, oh, there's the discomfort again. Okay. Oh, there's the anxiety again. Nothing to do with my business.
Yeah.
No relationship to my business, just in the moment state of mind, up and down, all around, feelings of anxiety, letting me know where I am.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's absolutely it. So I've linked it with, actually, that's a kind of that's a pause sign. Those feelings, those uncomfortable feelings, are a pause sign, where in fact they're not. They're just, you've got a bit of thinking going on about this.
Yeah.
It's not divine information. It's just a kind of a unintentional link. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It's really helpful to just get curious about it, and actually the meaning that I've attributed is not necessarily correct.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You start to see that and your world begins to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grace.
No, well, thank you. You saw it. You saw it. Anybody else? Anything on your mind today? Anything that you're wanting to bring forth in the clinic today?
Hi there.
Annette, hello.
Hi. Yeah, a couple of things came to mind. One was I tend to find it simple to see other people's thinking and how others scare themselves.
Yeah.
It seems to me so much easier to see it in others than to see it in myself. But I'm starting to get there. And I had a realization not long ago about how much fear is actually unconsciously stopping me from doing things. And yeah, how much I think whether it comes through as discomfort, or I notice that I'm just putting things aside, thinking about when is the right time to do it. No, this isn't the right time. Those people are probably very busy now, so I should wait. Maybe another day is the good day to do it. So I come up with all these ways of procrastinating in a way. And I got a glimpse of, seeing that all comes from fears. And I haven't really gotten to the bottom of it yet, but it's starting to become more visible. And which is great. So I do, because I feel like I've gone through the last couple of years, and like you describe, once you have that clarity of mind and the wisdom comes to me, you have these, creative ideas, all the things you can do, different perspectives, a lot of creativity, options that I hadn't thought about, and also being so efficient and just kind of bam, 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 getting things done. And I feel like the last couple of years have just been like waiting for the wisdom to come. I feel in a way that I've been able to quiet my mind down a little bit, but still, I guess in a way I want these big insights to come and kind of alter my life, that one hears other people describe, and suddenly you're just so able to do things with the ease and flow. And so I'm kind of wanting that to happen, and I think maybe in that searching for those insights, it keeps me in my head more than really listening to what's underneath. That my mind is often, I think, too busy to as you said, with the bandwidth is already busy with all the other stuff going on. So it's great with meditation and learning to kind of quiet my mind down a little bit, and maybe
rather than searching for insights, I think it's a bit of an illusion that everybody has these great big insights and then it all falls into flow. I mean, I had 2 whopper major insights and my life was turned upside down. And then there was an element of flow, but somebody's selling you fairy dust about that. It doesn't go like that, Annette, right? So first of all, let's get mature about what you're really looking for. Okay. Rather than searching and looking for a big insight, I would invite you just notice that what's really going on is you spend a lot of time listening to Bob. And your flavor of Bob the drunk guy in your head tells you things like, oh no, those people are busy, don't do that now. He's very convincing. He's taking up space, right? But here's what you want to say. It's like, oh, you think the conversation in your head is legitimate. How innocent is that? How often we do that? As you get less interested in the conversation in your head, rather than as you search for insights, which is more conversation in your head, as you get less interested in the conversation that's going on, you are present, productive, passionate, able to create, able to be in flow. So the question that sort of comes up is, why are we all so interested in what we think? It's just noise. It's a form of divine energy moving through. But unless we latch on to what we're thinking about, it really has no significance, no meaning, and it will pass on. I mean, no, like it kind of comes to me this way, searching for that amazing insight is like searching for the best orgasm. Like, just let it happen. Like, you don't have to go looking for it. Can you hear anything in that, Annette?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how I think we've kind of just gotten so used to somehow thinking that listening to our minds and that chatter and being busy and kind of carrying that badge of honor, saying that, oh, I'm so stressed and I have a lot to do and this and that, and as you say, just to observe that noise and that chatter and just let it go and learn not to pay attention to it. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface in a way of getting more of that, and seeing that our thoughts are certainly not my thoughts, or just that story that I keep repeating and all those old thoughts. And it's to see that that's just my story and that drunken Bob going on in my head. But I do have a really good teacher in my daughter, so I should be able to learn it, because it's amazing. She's differently able, and she has very few filters. So once she thinks of something, she wants to, like, there is no space, no filters between often having that thought, which is often wisdom, and acting upon it, and just in that flow, and she just gets things done and and it's quite interesting to observe her, while I'm much more conditioned with, oh, you're supposed to be like a nice girl and you should do this and this is how you behave and you can't say or do or this and that. So I think I have much more conditioning that I have to gradually just let go of and see. And then
Jeg ser ingen app som passer. Du må laste ned.
That was Siri or something.
Sometimes we can be listening to someone and we're not listening to someone. we're just listening to the recycled thoughts in our mind. And so in your everyday life, you just want to notice that, you know, like every human, you're spending a lot of time listening to the recycled thoughts in your mind. There are moments in your day where you just fall out of that and become present. And, you know, maybe you're engaged with something, maybe you're watching television and there's no kind of evaluation coming in because you're so absorbed in the story that's going on. And we just want to know that that's what's happening. It's like we're evaluating and planning and judging and criticizing. It's just the noise. It's not that we have more conditioning or less conditioning than someone else. It's that we've tuned the dial to that because, gosh, I might miss something. This is really important. What's Bob saying? Not realizing that it is Bob. I remember I was on this beautiful retreat in Devon and I'd had a few days and I decided to stay on for a few more days. And I felt so proud of myself because I was like, oh, my mind's lovely and quiet. You know, we were exploring these principles and my mind was feeling good. And I noticed that I wasn't living in feelings of insecurity. So I'm walking through the forest, and I probably shared this many times, but I'm walking through the forest and feeling, you know, I'm present to the trees and feeling good. And then this next thought comes in. Oh, when you get to the end of the road, are you going to turn left or right? And then this other thought came in. Oh, there's a coffee bar down there. Oh, let's go there. Should we have coffee or should we have English breakfast? Oh, no, we shouldn't have English breakfast. No, we should definitely just have coffee and not, you know, I fell out of the present and into evaluating my next step. And the thing is, I caught it, Annette. I caught myself going into evaluation and planning. So, you know, here I was typically in insecurity and fear. Now here I was in, well, I'm not in that now. So now I'm here, I'm in evaluation and planning. It was still noise. It was just a different flavor. And I caught it and I realized, oh, it doesn't matter. Because when I get to the end of the road, I'll take a left or a right. And when I get to the coffee bar, I'll decide whether it's a coffee or an English breakfast. When we wake up from the noise in our head, we trust divine mind more deeply. We trust that we know what to do when we get to the end of the road and which left or right to take. We trust that when we get to the coffee shop, we're going to order what in the moment. Now, my walk and my retreat could have been ruined had I just continued to pay attention to the evaluation and had no distance from the evaluation. And that's just what I hear in you, sweetheart. I just hear the evaluation and I should be further along by now, and everybody else is having incredible insights, and I'm wasting my time. It's just your flavor of noise that you're paying attention to. And as you get a little distance from that and less interested in that, you'll be back in feelings of aliveness, productivity, creativity, things are getting done at the speed of light, and yet you're feeling graceful about it. I see you smiling. What's coming to mind?
Yeah, what's coming to mind was an example that I think it was wisdom showing me in a little strange way. I think I might have told you the story. It was about a month ago, and I was having a wonderful day. I was preparing a birthday celebration for my differently able daughter and her room or her housing friends. And I was out walking after I was finished baking cakes, and it was a beautiful day, blue skies, sun was out, just wonderful. And I was having a walk in the nature and really enjoying myself. And all of a sudden, I have these suicidal thoughts. And they felt so real. And, you know, in that split second, I was listening to those thoughts. And then it occurred to me that, oh, wow, this is what I do all the time. I listen to these crazy thoughts. And I think wisdom actually, through this really, for me, really strange thoughts, or very unusual for me to have a thought like that. But I think it was actually wisdom throwing this thought at me to make me wake up and to see that that's what I do with all my thinking, that I listen to. But it had to like snap me out of my habitual thinking with an example like that to really see my own thinking. Because as I said initially, I'm so much faster to see other people's thinking, and then my own is kind of, that just looks really real. But this example was just not something I could take for real. It was so that was also a really nice insight in a way, as that came with that strange thought.
Well, that is your big insight that you've been looking for. Because what I hear in that is, I hear you got distance from the noise in your head as a result of that. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, and I could really feel how real it felt.
Yeah.
How it just sucks you in with all your senses. And then I was just like, wow, that's what I do.
Well, Annette, that's as big a wow as anybody else has been getting. Okay. Not that you can't have more, of course you can, but you see how we busy ourselves in the search because we think, well, yeah, but that insight, I forgot about that insight. And that was a while ago. That's huge. So that tells me you already have some distance. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Oh, wow. I feel like we've gone nice and deep today, everybody. I feel like there's been a lovely connection to divine mind, a lovely, just a feeling of wow. You know, the serum is in. I say this to my clients as we go along. You know, the serum is in every time, and it's going in every time you're seeing something fresh. And, you know, sometimes you see something fresh and someone else is sharing, and sometimes you see something fresh when you go off this call and you go into your life. But, you know, don't work so hard at this. Don't get so interested in the flavors of your thinking. Divine mind will show up for you, will be there, is there, and lets you know when you should or shouldn't be doing something. Your job is just to listen. Your job is to have enough mental bandwidth and spaciousness that you're tuned in and able to get the signal, hear the sign. And even if you're not, don't worry about that. Like in the case of my story that I shared with at the very beginning, I was literally going to sign on the dotted line that morning. And it was that morning that I got the clear direction of no. All right. So, you know, scary thought comes with a lot of seductive, urgent, unhelpful feelings. Divine mind and your wisdom cuts out all that drama and just gets to the point. But it's a very personal thing. So be in companionship, be in relationship with that deeper part of you that holds the direction and the answers and the key. So announcing today with you all before we finish that next week there'll be no coaching clinic. I will be in Mexico, all being well. I am embracing and beginning a new chapter, really. It might just seem like a nice holiday to you all. In fact, it's a step in a direction that is a new chapter for me. And I'll be there for a couple of weeks. I'll let you know if there'll be a clinic the next week. But I also get the sense that there is a deeper possibility with us around this embracing a new chapter. So with that in mind, it quite easily flew to me from last week's call that I'll put together a small group program commencing Friday the 13th of May and running for 4 weeks. And that small group program will be us creating your new chapter. So we'll look at things that will support you in the clarity for that, the confidence to embrace a new chapter in your life, the ability to go deeper and get beyond insecure thinking to actually moving in the direction of what divine mind has in store for you. And then, of course, practical guidance and practical direction and steps around, you know, fully going forth with a new chapter. So if you're interested in some of that content, if you'd like to be part of a small group online that meets weekly for a month beginning May 13th, get in touch with me, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com, and I'll send you a few more details. There's an early bird special and there's a bonus for signing up before the end of this month. So we'll take it from there. I wish you a lovely rest of your week, everybody. Thanks for being here and continue your connection. Continue your connection. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.